I'm Eugene from LearnDialect.sg, and thank you for tuning into our How Do You Say podcast. Oh wait, did you notice that for the first time, we did not specify if this podcast is focused on Hokkien, Teochew, or Cantonese? Well, that's because to conclude year 2019, we have a very special finale episode for you. Now, have you ever wondered why the surnames or last names of Singaporean Chinese are spelled differently in English, even though the Chinese character used is the same? Through the English spelling of the surname, are you then able to make a good guess of someone's dialect group? So yes, today's topic is about the common Chinese surnames in Singapore. Whether you are learning Hokkien, Teochew, or Cantonese, we think that this post will be equally helpful. In fact, the aim of this episode is to help you make an educated guess of a person's dialect group, and more importantly, get a conversation going. It is a simple guide and by no means exhaustive, as there are always exceptions. So let's get going. Why do we have different English spellings for the same Chinese surnames? In short, this is due to our unique ancestry as well as the pronunciation differences by each dialect group. To illustrate, we have identified some common Chinese surnames in Singapore. We will use this as examples to point out their similarities and differences across Hokkien, Teochew, and Cantonese. First, we recognize that there are some surnames which are spelled the same in English across all three languages. For example, my surname in Chinese is pronounced as Li and spelled in English as Lee. This is a common way to spell, no matter whether you are Hokkien, Teochew, Cantonese, or even Hakka, as per Singapore's first Prime Minister, the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Notwithstanding the above, Hokkien and Teochew belong to the same language group. So, if you are a Cantonese, there is a high possibility that your English surname is spelled differently from your Hokkien or Teochew friends with the same Chinese surname. I can give you two examples here, Lin and Chen. Lin is pronounced in Cantonese as Lam, while in Hokkien and Teochew it's pronounced as Lim. As such, in English, Cantonese speakers will spell their surname as Lam or Lum, whereas Hokkiens and Teochews will spell it as Lim. Similarly, Cantonese pronounce the Chinese surname Chen as Chan. Hokkiens and Teochews pronounce it as Dan. Hence, can you guess what will be the English equivalent? Yes, Cantonese will spell it as Chan, while Hokkiens and Teochews will spell it as Tan. You get the drift now? The next Chinese surname, Huang, is an interesting one. It can either be different across Hokkien, Teochew, and Cantonese, or similar between just Hokkien and Teochew. Here's a quick hack for you. If the surname is spelled in English as Wee, Oei, or Ooi, the person will be of Hokkien descent. If it is spelled as Ng, then he or she may be a Hokkien or Teochew. In contrast, the Cantonese tend to spell it as Wong, a rather clear distinction from the rest. Last but not least, Wang is one of the Chinese surnames that has a unique spelling across all three languages. Traditionally, Wang is spelled as Ong by Hokkiens, Heng by Teochews, and Wong by the Cantonese. Oh wait, did you notice that Cantonese spell both Chinese surnames, Huang and Wang, as Wong in English? Again, this is because the pronunciation of these Chinese characters in Cantonese are similar, namely Wong. So there you go. In this short How Do You Say podcast, we have covered some common Chinese surnames in Singapore. We highlighted how some are spelled the same in English across Hokkien, Teochew and Cantonese, as well as how some surnames are spelled entirely different. Here's a tongue-in-cheek summary for you. Meet a Lee, ask him or her directly. Meet a Wee, Ui or Oi, Hokkiens fit the name nicely. Meet a Wong, a Cantonese possibly won't go wrong. But if you meet the rest, it's time for an educated guess. Well, did we cover your surname? If not, leave a comment and share with us your dialect group as well as your surnames in both Chinese and in English. We'd love to find out more about different spellings across Chinese dialects in Singapore. My name is Eugene from LearnDialect.sg and hope to hear from you soon.